Anthony Burgess's first experience of Singapore was in August of 1954, when he arrived by ship with his first wife, Lynn. He spent a very few nights in Singapore, staying at the Raffles Hotel. What he did on his first night was to leave his wife in the hotel while he went whoring. He picked up a Chinese prostitute on Bugis Street and took her to a short-time hotel. And enjoyed her services and explained that he was enchanted. That was 54. He returned to Singapore in 1970, and he recalls the experience in the second volume of his autobiography, which is called You've Had Your Time, being the second part of the Confessions of Anthony Burgess. He writes as follows about his experience of Singapore in 1970.
Singapore had become an overclean town, a sort of tropical Geneva, and its Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, had imposed a sub-fascist hygiene on most aspects of life in the Lion City. Dirty literature, filthy films, and clean long hair were alike forbidden. But I was happy to see that Bugis Street at 3 a.m. was as soiled and hoiking as ever, with ste made of doubtful meat grilling over smoky fires. The rest of the city, though, no longer reeked of wet dish rags and cat piss. It was still a free port, the trading paradise that Sir Stamford Raffles had intended. Liana loaded herself with photographic equipment. But the old humanizing shabbiness, an endearing property of British colonies, had been expunged. How much Mr. Lee was in control was revealed when we met DJ Enright, now resigning, along with other expatriates, from the university. The new vice-chancellorship was to be a political appointment, and the technocratic philosophy of Mr. Lee, which his friend Harold Wilson shared, was to diminish the importance of the humanities. Literature had already become, Wilson's words, a minority subculture. My Malayan trilogy, it's called The Long Day Wain in the United States, was known to some in Singapore, though I gained the impression that it was not officially approved. Lecturing on the book, I was aware that it was remote, historical, even exotic, as well as intelligible only in terms of the Wilsonic minority subculture. I was lecturing under the aegis of a dying academic tradition, though my heart lifted on the street outside the lecture hall when I saw hordes of Chinese apparently anxious to hear me. But they were waiting for the live appearance of a Hong Kong film star at the cinema next door. There were, and there are, Singaporean and Malaysian writers of great talent who have brought new tonalities to English. But the literary cultivation of second language English is so far limited to the smaller forms, poetry and short stories. What needs to burst out of Singapore is an Asiatic Ulysses, if Lee Kuan Yew will allow it. The sad thing about the great city of Singapore was the official fear of a free culture. The chic and beauty of the women, the incredible variety of the cuisine, the stimulation and soothing of the senses, as well as the vigour of commerce, seem to be regarded as enough. Mr. Lee should have been perturbed by the departure of a major poet and critic, but he was evidently not.
And Burgess writes in a 1982 essay about Singapore as follows.
Singapore is a somewhat fascist state, with a one-party government, police who enforce conformity of behaviour and even of hairstyle. No long-locked hippies are wanted. And a tradition of Chinese money-making which is alien to the code of the peninsula to the north. The theme of Singapore is wealth and conspicuous consumption. And for Sybarites, it is the most insidious city in the world. All the cuisines are available, and all the consumer goods. The Chinese women are chic and desirable, but there is no atmosphere of free thought or of a healthy culture. It is a stultifying life that is offered, and it can be blamed on a political system that, rejecting British colonialism and Chinese Marxism alike, is merely monolithic, merely repressive for the sake of repression, and is concerned only with the abstractions of money-making and social stability.